Now here's the question. Have you ever stopped everything, literally stopped everything, to follow your dreams? I had quite a career change, which many of you will know about. That's why I'm here now. Dave Nelson from St Albans, he was working at Tesco's in their marketing department. He decided he wanted a complete lifestyle change, took voluntary redundancy, and is now an artist, which is only part of the story. My guess is that you are happier than you've ever been.
Certainly, yeah. I don't regret the decision for a moment. No, fantastic.
The bit that I can't work out is that, bearing in mind that you were sort of in the number crunchy, intelligent, wordy kind of part of Tesco's, surely that's not compatible with being an artist, because you do have, there are these two sides of the brain, aren't they? And you've got your part of your brain that's got the paintbrush in it, and the part of the brain that is, like, I was going to say intelligent, but that makes it sound completely wrong. The part of your brain that's very functional and, yeah. Often the two never combine, do they?
Well, they don't combine. They are two sides of the brain. So, well, yeah, one is very logical and analytical. So I actually had to work very hard at turning that off and turning the creative side on. I can never remember. It's the left side is the creative, I think. I can't remember.
I think I only used my left side. I think that is the creative side. Thing is, though, I often talk on this programme about career changes. Mm-hmm. And those career changes have substance. So someone would say, yes, back in the day I sang in a band and we were really good, and then I decided to pursue that full time, or I decided to chuck everything in to go and travel around the world. So there's some substance behind it. Your art history wasn't great.
No, that's right, yeah. I was thrown out of art class at school. But those were in the days when I went to an average comprehensive, and if you were in the top stream for maths, your job for the school was to go and get some O-levels.
Get the scores,
It was not to be in the art block. So,
but Mum and Dad weren't arty either.
No. So they didn't force the issue or encourage it. So, at that point at 14, I sort of dropped it, unfortunately.
Okay, so I need to join some dots here between that and working at Tesco's and deciding you want to be an artist, because at some point you must have felt that you had a talent or a predisposition.
No, not really. I'm a strong believer that anybody can do anything with enough dedication, hard work, and the right training and coaching. Anybody can do anything.
Hold on, Dave. So you're saying you left a corporate job and you didn't even know you were an artist?
No.
Okay,
no.
So join the dots a little bit for me then.
So probably about 10 years ago, I had that, and my kids were, at that stage were at the top end of primary school and were still very creative, drawing, but then I was aware most children give it up. And I thought, why do they do that? And one of the things is they don't get inspiration. They don't see people around them drawing and painting. So I thought, well, I will take it up. I've always wanted to do it. So I will teach myself to draw and paint again and work with them. And that's what happened. So as they came through their teenage years, I sort of developed it with them, which was a really interesting process.
Did you at any point have a moment where you created something and thought, hold on a minute, I can actually do this thing called art?
Yes. So the Hertford Art Society, which I was a member of, I did create this large painting, which I wasn't very happy with. I thought it was quite rough and naive. Somebody encouraged me there to enter it for their competition, which has over 500 entries, their annual competition, and I won, very first time of entering. So that did suddenly make me think, oh, maybe there's something in this. Yes.
Okay, and from that point on, what then happens? How do you then develop from, people like my art, I won a competition, to becoming an artist? Because there is no tougher career. Trying to make a living as an artist, I mean, it's the biggest cliche in the book, but trying to actually survive and earn income and generate and go forward is extraordinarily tough.
Yeah, it is. No, absolutely. And I'm still in that process. I mean, I'm less than 2 years into this, so I'm still very much an emerging artist. So I'm absolutely no way making the money I was making at Tesco.
Are you making money, though? Are you actually selling these paintings?
I'm selling the paintings. I'm covering my costs and making a little bit. But very much, it's an upward curve. So
to anyone listening to this, though, they may be thinking, well, it's fine if you've got the luxury to be able to do that. How are you actually surviving?
Well, my wife has a job. My kids have left home now, so our expenses, if you like, have gone down a bit.
Your nut is smaller.
Yes, that's right. My wife's incredibly supportive. She loves her job, which is great. So that's very helpful. There
must have been a moment when you said, okay, I'm going to pursue this bohemian artist thing and go and set up at Digswell and with all the other artists there. And she looked at you and immediately said, do it?
No. It's been a negotiation and a battle, and we've had to go.
Come on, it's just you and I. So where did it start? Where did it middle, and then how did it end up? I mean, we know how it ended up, but how did you get?
Probably the hardest moment was after I'd won the competition. I used my leave to go on courses. I was doing courses at weekends, developing, painting more. But I decided I needed more time, and I think the hardest moment was when I went to my boss and said I want to go part-time, and he looked at me like, "You're not pregnant, are you? You can't be." Really didn't understand it. When I said I wanted to be an artist, I mean, I think he nearly fell off his chair. It was just, "You are insane." He actually thought I was lying. He actually thought, I was trying to set up some sort of competition. Or,
right. And so he then lets you go part-time.
So eventually I persuaded him and he let me go part-time.
Okay.
So that was the first stage. So then I could make more art. I started selling it. I started doing art fairs and got more and more into it.
Right. And at this point, your wife starts to believe that you could give up a whole income at Tesco's and become an artist.
No, not quite.
Okay, so I'm just intrigued how you're still married and how it's a wonderful story that she's supporting you. What was the clincher for her? When did she think, you know what, Dave, I love you, this is what you need to do?
I think she always felt that. I think the clincher was when I was offered the voluntary redundancy. As part of a wide package.
So then you have the financial means. You say to yourself, for X number of months or years, we can do this.
Yeah. So the original negotiation was I'd do some consultancy work 1 or 2 days a week, and I'd do it for a year and see where we are, and then I could go back to full-time employment. The reality was I never did the consultancy work. I only ever painted. And so, we just have edged towards where we are.
There is a crunch point there, isn't there, where you know when your funds are going to run out? Have you got that in your head? Do you know when you really, really need to make this work?
I think it's probably another 18 months, 2 years.
Okay.
So, but that's good. It's good to have a deadline.
But that's the whole point, to actually know what you're in for and to know what your boundaries are. Yeah. What happens if it hasn't really, if it hasn't progressed as you want it to in a year and a half's time?
Well, yeah, then we've got some hard thinking
back to your wife and a whole other discussion. I've looked at your art and it's very impressive. You use different tools, don't you? You like using a Lego block, or it's not all about paintbrushes for you, is it?
It's nothing about paintbrushes. I have a rule: I don't use paintbrushes, so I use pretty much anything else I can get hold of. So, what
are your top 5 things that you use to paint with?
So, credit cards, I love. Lego block is probably the number one.
Something listen, I can't spend them, so I may as well use them to paint with. Yes,
exactly. Bits of card. I've used bits of twig. Trees are great. And then traditional implements like palette knives, obviously. But
why this absolute insistence of not using paintbrushes? Is it just to be different?
Yeah, it's great to have a rule that forces you. My style's slightly naive. If I use a paintbrush, what I find is I get too tight and I start painting too realistically, and that's not the look that I want. So not using a paintbrush forces you into that sort of loose working and naive style.
I can't even use a paintbrush, let alone use a piece of Lego or a credit card. You're now selling these pieces of work, and they sell for good money, don't they? It must be a great feeling when you've put all your heart and soul into something, you've exposed yourself by being creative, and then someone says, "I'll hang that."
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world when you sell it personally to somebody, and it's not just I like it, I'm going to give you a large check.
Well, that's the point. It's not just
fantastic,
perusing in an exhibition, and they give you the money.
No.
Are art buyers tough punters? Do you give them a price and they try and halve it?
No. Most people are very generous, so that is a story. But most people don't negotiate. They appreciate you're trying to make a living from this, and generally, part of the deal is they want to support you. They want to support artists. So if they can afford it, they will.
And they know you've got 18 months to make this work, or else you have to go back to doing something completely different. What's next for you? Because you've got some paintings appearing at an exhibition, haven't you?
So we've got the Open Studios at Digswell, which is the 6th, 7th of May this year. It's the 60th anniversary of Digswell this year, so it's going to be quite a big thing.
And anyone who remembers the first 20 years wasn't there?
Yes, that's absolutely certain.
I couldn't possibly comment, but it was quite bohemian, Digswell. Is it?
Did you know it?
I'm too young to have known it personally.
Right.
Let's say. Is it the same still, or is it a little bit? I
think it's probably slightly less bohemian.
Yes, okay, that's good. We'll get you into trouble on the radio. And where else can we find your art?
So I'm doing art fairs in Reading in April and Teddington in London in May.
Are you online?
I am online. DaveNelsonArt.com.
DaveNelsonArt.com. If you want to go and see Dave's paintings, they're very beautiful. They're often they're very urban, aren't they? They're sort of cityscapes,
Sort of urban
townscapes.
landscapes,
Urban landscapes. That's the technical artist term. DaveNelsonArt.com, and I know you're on Twitter because you're tweeting me profusely overnight. Your Twitter name being Dave Nelson Art. There you go. You've got a name that actually no one else has thought of,
That's
and you're
right.
able to. Good luck. I like transformation stories. I like people who've taken the risk, given up an easy life, but as my first question illustrated, you've probably never been happier, even though you've probably never been poorer. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. That's spot on.
And you have a very nice wife.
Yes, I have a lovely
Who
wife.
deserves a whole... Do you know what? I would never do this, but I think she even deserves her name.
It's Jane.
Jane is a very patient and very lovely wife who clearly wants her husband to pursue his passion, and quite right too. DaveNelsonArt.com if you want to go and see what Dave's been doing, and congratulations on your change of career.
Thank you.
It's Dave's story there. Dave Nelson giving up a career, very good career, very well-paid career working for Tesco, to become an artist. What a risk. But I know so many people that have done it. Listen, if you don't know my story, the sort of headline is I was in business for 20 years, lost my business in 2008, and then just sort of started to follow my creative dreams. And here I am on the radio. And I do think there is a lesson in there, because it is a real cliche when people say life is too short, but it is really, really too short. Only last week I lost a friend of mine to cancer in his early 50s, and we spend a lot of our time thinking about the future, planning the future, worrying about the future, but how much of our time do we think about living in the present? And I can honestly say that from a professional standpoint, I've never been happier. And good luck to Dave taking that journey as well. So if you're faced with that sliding doors moment of should you or shouldn't you, you can take it from me, and you can sue me if it goes wrong. Take it from me. Do it. It'll be the best decision you ever take.